Maybe you feel alone even in a crowded room. Maybe most conversations feel shallow to you. Most people predictable. And maybe, late at night, when everyone else is asleep, it's just you, and that voice in your head that never stops thinking. And somewhere along the way, you told yourself a story about it. You said, "I'm different. I'm a lone wolf. The herd just isn't for me." You wear that solitude like a badge, like proof that you're sharper, stronger, less fooled than the rest. Now, let me offer you a colder possibility. What if you didn't choose the solitude? What if it chose you? And nature whispered, "You're special," in your ear, just so you'd never notice what was really happening. I'm going to build you a theory, a real one. And I'll warn you now, it's going to sound convincing. Cold, mathematical, almost impossible to argue with. And then we're going to tear it apart. Because half of this theory is a lie, and the lie is the half that sounds smartest. So stay to the end. The middle of this video will try to convince you. The end is where it breaks. Let me build this theory for you, piece by piece, and I want you to feel how solid it seems. Think of nature as an operating system, the biggest, oldest one ever written, running for billions of years, with a single goal buried under everything else: survive and replicate, nothing more. For a system like that to run smoothly, the main code, the herd, the tribe, the society, has to stay stable, predictable. A colony survives only when its parts move in sync. One unit acting strange can put the whole structure at risk. So now, picture a unit that doesn't fit, someone who questions everything, who hears what everyone agrees on and says, "But why?" Who rubs against the grain of the group at every turn. In the language of programmers, a piece of code that conflicts with the rest of the system. And computer science has a name for what you do with code like that. It's called garbage collection. Here's what it means simply. While a program runs, it builds up junk. Old data, leftover values, things that no longer serve the main process but still take up memory. Let that junk pile up, and the whole system slows down. So in the background, quietly, the system finds that useless data and clears it away. You never see it happen. The program just stays smooth, because what was slowing it down got swept out of sight. Now, the theory says, nature does exactly this to people. If an individual is too analytical, too questioning, too misaligned with the group, the system flags them as junk, as a conflict, as a risk to the smooth running of the whole. But here's the elegant part. Nature doesn't waste energy destroying you. Killing you off would be crude and expensive. Instead, it does something far more clever. It reaches into the one thing you trust completely, your own mind, and it turns the dial. It pushes you away from people. It makes you invisible in social settings. It plants a quiet sense of not belonging deep inside you. And then comes the masterstroke. It convinces you that this isolation is a strength. So there you are, awake at 3 a.m., alone with your thoughts, certain you've escaped the shallowness of everyone else. You feel like a monk, a philosopher, a free man who saw through the illusion. But according to this theory, here's what actually happened. The system identified you as incompatible code and quietly moved you to the quarantine folder. It got you to lock your own cell door from the inside. And then it handed the key to your ego, so you'd guard it yourself, proudly, forever. You think you're free. The theory says you're just being deleted, cleanly, silently, with your full cooperation. Take a breath, because the theory isn't finished, and the second half is even colder. Let's put a number on it, because this is where the theory turns truly ruthless. There's a branch of mathematics that studies networks, graph theory, and it has one brutal rule. The power of a network isn't measured by how many points it has. It's measured by the connections between those points. Let me make that concrete. Imagine a single light bulb, incredibly bright, sitting alone in a field, wired to nothing. Now imagine 1,000 dim bulbs, all wired together, feeding each other power. The lone bright bulb lights one patch of grass. The network lights a city. Brilliance alone means nothing. Connection is everything. So now apply that to you. Say you really are smart. Say that in your head you generate brilliant ideas, theories, solutions, whole systems. But you share them with no one. You don't connect to a network. You don't spread your ideas. You don't influence anyone. You don't touch anything outside your own room. The theory says your mathematical weight is exactly 0. You can produce the most perfect ideas in the world, alone in the dark. But an idea that never leaves your skull is indistinguishable from an idea that was never had. The universe doesn't even record your beautiful, lonely effort as a tragedy. It just rounds you down, files you as background noise, as if you were never here at all. So now the loop is closed and it's airtight. You're misaligned, so you're quarantined. You're quarantined, so you're disconnected. You're disconnected, so mathematically you don't exist. And the whole time it's happening, you feel free. You feel superior. You feel chosen. Be honest. It sounds convincing, doesn't it? Maybe examples from your own life are already surfacing as I say this. Good. Because this is exactly where we stop. And this is where I show you the fatal flaw hiding inside the whole thing. The one crack that brings all of it down. Listen carefully now, because the place where this theory sounds strongest is exactly where it's most broken. And I want to be clear. This isn't a theory I invented to knock down. Some version of it is floating around out there right now, in forums, in comment sections, in the quiet 3 a.m. logic of every smart person who ever felt left out. The system is weeding me out. It feels like cold, clear-eyed realism. That's exactly why it's worth taking apart. Through everything I just told you, one word kept repeating. System. The system quarantines you. The system manipulates you. Nature flags you. Nature deletes you. Nature watches. So let me ask you one simple question, and the answer changes everything. Who is doing this? Because this theory quietly assumes that evolution has a mind, that somewhere there's a designer sitting at a desk, looking at you, deciding, this one's incompatible, move him to quarantine. A manager, an intention, a plan, but that is not what evolution is. Here's the truth, and it's important you really get it. Evolution has no goal, no plan, no quarantine folder. There is no intelligence sitting somewhere deciding who fits and who doesn't. Evolution is just the name we give to one blind fact. Genes that reproduce stick around, and genes that don't fade out. That's it. A backward-looking filter, not a forward-looking strategy. Mindless, aimless, nobody's steering. Think of water flowing downhill. The water isn't trying to reach the bottom. It isn't choosing a path, plotting a route, punishing the rocks in its way. It just flows, and gravity does the rest. Evolution is like that water, pure mechanism, zero intention. To say, nature pushed you into solitude to eliminate you is like saying, the river hates the rock it flows around. It's a story we paint onto something that has no face. So that chilling theory, the system is deleting you, turns out to be something much older, wearing a lab coat. It's an ancient fear in disguise. The universe is against me. It singled me out. It's pushing me aside on purpose. And here's the irony you might not have noticed. That fear is actually a kind of vanity. To believe the universe is eliminating you, you first have to believe the universe is paying attention to you, that it cares enough to bother, that you matter enough to be a target. And the real truth is stranger than that. stranger, and, if you let it, lighter. Here it is. The universe isn't quarantining you. It isn't trying to delete you. It isn't watching you or setting a trap, because the universe doesn't notice you at all. Now, don't hear that as a loss. Hear it the other way. When you believe a system is eliminating you, that system has rules. There's a judgment being made, a file labeled incompatible, a ledger rounding you down to noise. But there is no file. There is no ledger, because there is no one keeping it. The universe attaches no meaning to your solitude, not a bad one, not a good one. Your loneliness isn't a punishment, but it isn't a badge of honor either. It's just a condition, a bare, neutral fact. And this, right here, is where freedom begins. Think it through. If your solitude were a punishment handed down by nature, you'd be helpless, a victim. And if your solitude were a medal of superiority, you'd be trapped in a flattering lie. But if it's neither punishment nor reward, if it's just a condition, then what it means is entirely up to you. No system is assigning the meaning, because there is no system to assign it. You are not a wolf locked in quarantine. You are a mind that went looking for meaning in the wrong place. You looked for it out there, in the herd, in the network, in the approval of others. And when you didn't find it, you concluded, I must have been deleted. But the meaning was never out there to begin with. And now we reach the most beautiful part, because hidden inside that cold theory, there was actually one thing that was true. The theory said, your mind won't stop. At night, your head keeps running. Your cells keep working. No matter how indifferent the universe is, that engine inside you refuses to shut off. And the theory framed this as a tragedy, a unit thrashing pointlessly in a universe that doesn't care. But turn it around, because the most staggering idea in all of this is right here. Yes, the universe is indifferent. Yes, it assigns no meaning to your solitude. Yes, your cells know no philosophy. They're just mechanical workers, programmed to run until they stop. All of that is true. And because of that, the only thing that can put meaning into your life is you. If the universe handed you a meaning, ready-made, you'd just be a spectator following a script someone else wrote. But the universe hands you nothing. It leaves a blank page. And the only thing in all of existence that can decide what gets written on that page is your own mind. There's a philosopher who said this better than anyone. Albert Camus. He described the human condition through the myth of Sisyphus, a man condemned to roll a boulder up a hill forever, only to watch it roll back down every time. An eternity of effort that accomplishes nothing. It sounds like the bleakest fate imaginable. But Camus ends with a line that turns the whole thing inside out. He says, we must imagine Sisyphus happy. Because in the act of pushing that boulder, knowing it's meaningless, knowing no one's watching, Sisyphus makes the meaning his own. The universe gave him nothing, so he created meaning in spite of it. And that act of defiance is the most free a person can ever be. Your restless mind, your head that won't go quiet at night. That lonely effort no one sees. It isn't a tragedy. It's the purest form of a consciousness creating its own meaning in an indifferent universe. And that is more powerful than anything a system could ever hand you, because it's yours. So let's return to where we started. Are you a lone wolf, or is evolution quietly deleting you? The answer is neither. There's no evolution deleting you, because evolution has no intention, no I, no folder with your name on it. But there's no solitude making you superior either, because solitude on its own is neither virtue nor curse. It's just a condition, silent, neutral, meaningless. And you are the only thing in the universe that can stand in the middle of that silence and give it a meaning. So maybe the question was never, what does the universe think of me? Because the universe thinks nothing of you. The real question is the one you're left with now. The moment you stop searching for meaning out there and start building it yourself, what are you going to do? I genuinely want to know. Did you see yourself as a lone wolf? And after this, do you see it differently? Tell me in the comments. I read them. This is Entropy and Eternity, where we take the things we comfortably believe and actually look inside them. If this made you see yourself or your solitude a little differently, consider subscribing. Every week, we open up another one of these questions. Until next time, keep looking up. And try seeing the universe's indifference not as a verdict against you, but as a blank page left for you to fill.